Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Bar 2. Joining me today is...
That Mac Kid.
Geek for fun.
And Steve.
Alrighty, we're here today for a Geeky Gentleman review topic. I believe Steve Baxey picked our review topic. Steve, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're talking about the 2019 comic book art house weird-ass supervillain origin movie directed by Todd Phillips called Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Zazie Beetz and Robert De Niro.
So Steve, why'd you want to talk about Joker?
So, last week Matt threatened to beat me up if I picked anything before 1970.
Yeah,
And so
I did.
I was like, shit. What are movies that came out after 1970? I thought cinema ended after that. And then I was surprised to discover that we did keep making movies after 1970 for some goddamn reason. And on that list was a movie I've wanted to go back to and talk about since it came out. But the massive backlash to it just made it impossible to have a nuanced conversation. So I never did. But Joker was interesting upon release because of just how many people hated it for so many weirdly different reasons, and how many awards it got at the same time, proving that not enough people actually hated it. This movie got nominated for 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It won the Golden Lion. It had a very similar reaction to its Venice Festival as Taxi Driver did when that movie first got released, and it's basically almost beat for beat Taxi Driver in a lot of ways. And a lot of people say when superhero movies get criticized for being too generic or too formulaic or whatever, not artsy enough, a lot of people put Joker up there as the artsy superhero movie. And I just kind of wanted to talk about that. And I was curious what everyone else thought about it, because I don't think any of us have ever discussed this movie at any length.
I've not watched it until, let's see, I watched this Saturday or Sunday night. This is the first time I've watched it.
Yeah, same. I didn't watch it until literally like today. I sat down and watched it, and I'd never seen it before, so I've never actually gotten to even talk about it. So I'm excited.
For me, this is the third time I've watched it. I watched it once in the fairs, once when it came at home, and then this week for the review. So 3 times for the 3 Jokers.
I think I've seen it 5 times now. I saw it twice in theaters. I saw it twice when it came out at home video, and then once just this week.
Interesting.
So Steve is the experienced Joker watcher.
A Joker connoisseur, if you will.
It was actually funny because I was like, I watched Walk the Line for the first time a couple days ago also, so I've been on like a Joaquin Phoenix double
You gotta watch,
basically.
what is it, Gladiator? The other big one that he's in?
I fucking love Gladiator, and then he's also in Her, which I have not seen. But what I will say about I haven't seen that one yet, but what I will say about Joaquin Phoenix is that, like, between Gladiator, Walk the Line, and this, I mean, I'll give the dude props. I can never fucking, like, recognize him ever.
No, absolutely.
I'm just like, God damn, you're just a different person now. Like, what the fuck? So, like, I guess, like, that's an immediate strength for me, is because I'm such a big fan of just performances, and so like this movie definitely wins points for me for just getting to be a 2 hour long performance from a pretty talented actor. So I certainly enjoyed that aspect of it, but I'm curious what Steve's general thoughts are, because you're the Joker movie connoisseur, good sir.
Oh wow. Okay, I guess we can all just go one by one and see what we think. But I can go ahead and go first. I think this movie is really good. I actually really like it. The first time I saw it, I was really jarred and taken aback by it, because it's extremely depressing, and it's extremely brutal, and it doesn't seem like it has any kind of light at the end of the tunnel. It just kind of seems like it piles on really, really depressing things after really, really depressing things. And there's a certain kind of like fine-tunedness to the whole thing that almost makes it predictable, where it's like it's copying every beat of how to tell a good story really, really well, but almost so well that it feels fake. Like the whole Zazie Beetz' character wasn't actually there. Like that's done to a T, textbook level of making it as clear and as best visually articulated as possible, but it's also just really, really obvious in the way it happens. And by the end, I wasn't totally sure what I felt about it on just a more general political level. And then I watched it a couple more times, and honestly, I think the big disconnect for me the first time was the things people were worried this movie was going to be, and the things that people are upset that the movie actually are both very wrong. Because you have people who really hate it for a kind of generic middle-class liberal perspective of, I can't believe this movie glorifies violence, I can't believe this movie stereotypes mental illness into this terrible thing. Like it's very much like pearl clutchy about this movie being brutal and violent. And then the other end of the spectrum is people saying this movie is going to incite violence when it did the exact opposite. And we joke about it being the ultimate incel movie. I don't particularly think it's a very incel movie. I think this is not a movie that's about how mentally ill lone wolf shooters are born, which is what a lot of people thought it was. I think this is just entirely a movie about how the foundations of society are so fucked up that you can expect nothing but this level of violence if the pressure is allowed to keep building. And when he has his speech at the end to Robert De Niro, I think that really hits. I think that's a genuinely terrifying moment, and I think it really works. The Bruce Wayne stuff I would cut. I hate the Bruce Wayne stuff. I hate the parents getting shot in the alley. Fuck all of that. We don't need that. Aside from that, though, I think this is actually a very good movie, and I really, really like it.
Cool. I guess I'll go next. It's funny because this is a movie that like I'm trying to approach it on two different levels, because as just someone who's a fan of Batman and the kind of mythos of that character and his rogues gallery, like literally nothing about this is of remote interest to me. Like I've never given a fuck about Joker before or without Batman. I've like literally could not care less about the premise of this movie, but sitting down and divorcing it from that and taking it kind of as what it is, I was surprised by how much I did like here. There was a lot, because I'm not a big fan of society Joker, the Joker who's telling everyone what's wrong with society and things like that. And what I liked about this movie is how much he just sort of stumbles into all that, and how much that all of the chaos of society and things collapsing near the end are things that he didn't even really intend to do, that he sees and then just simply rolls with and takes advantage of. And those were moments that I actually kind of really got on board with what the movie was doing. And I do actually kind of agree with Steve. To me, this movie reads as more of a condemnation of the system itself. You know, if the system is this bad, this is going to happen. And I feel like that mostly works, while at the same time I'm still just not really enjoying myself all that much watching it. This is not something like Solo, where I hated the idea, but it won me over through its execution. This is, I hate the idea, and I didn't hate the execution as much as I thought I would, but I'm still not exactly a fan.
Cool. Alfie?
On my end of things, it's interesting because I'm kind of like you, Matt, where the idea of just anything related to the Joker without Batman, I inherently kind of fall asleep. Because that is a character that to me is so uniquely defined by his protagonist, like the person he goes up against, where if you're going to do something more a solo thing, at the very least it should be post-origin. I don't want to see Joker before he meets Batman or anything before that, because I that's a Joker to me that isn't him yet. That's not the character. So the idea of the film inherently, I think, as well, is just, y'all should have just made a Lex Luthor solo movie instead. That would have been more interesting. But outside of that, as a film, I think it's very well made. I think it's very well directed. I think the script's really strong. I think Joaquin really, really brings it. Like, I think he's a fantastic actor in this performance as Arthur Fleck. I don't think he's doing a Joker performance. I think he's playing this character that they're making for this film, but that's clearly what the intention is. That's clearly what Todd Phillips wants to do. Is he doesn't want to make a Joker movie. He doesn't want to make anything to do with superhero movies. He wants to just make a character study movie, and to get it made, he put a DC name on it, and that's fine. You know what? Fuck it. I'm here for that, because it's interesting to get more big budget character movies where you can have a larger set design, because it's a DC film, so now you can make the streets and stuff reflect the character. You can bring in Robert De Niro, you can bring in really wild actors, and you can dedicate time to getting the scenes right on the fly. Whereas if you just made a movie called Arthur Fleck and it didn't have anything to do with the Joker, you would not get that kind of leg room, you would not get that kind of thing. So I think that's actually quite smart as a creator. So overall, I think it's good. I definitely agree with Matt, where I can't say, like, rewatching it. This is a movie that I think is a lot better on your first watch, because I think the tension hits really well in a lot of places. I think just knowing, like, how far things are going to go and the escalation of it is really, really strong and really engaging. But after you know where that's all going, I'm not that interested in the world around it or its depictions of any of the characters, or, like I said, the original ideas on the play, because it's just Taxi Driver. So all of that, I think, hurts it on a rewatch. But I'd never say it makes it a bad film. I think this is just a very strong drama about the literal building up of trauma in society, and the backlog of, oh, we'll just deal with it later, like, kind of overflowing and then crescendoing, and we just happen to have some clown related things around it, which again, I think I think previous Alfie would have been a little bit more pissed about that, but I truly don't care at this point. Just like, okay, yeah, they got the film made, so whatever.
Okay. Fucking hated this movie. Fucking absolute terrible time. I think Alfie pretty much nailed it, Matt too, with the fact this is not a Joker movie. This is not a movie about the Joker. This is a movie about a mentally ill person slowly collapsing, and they put the Joker title on it in order to get, you know, the Hollywood money for it. And so it's funny that Steve's point of, well, you cut all the Bruce Wayne stuff, and like literally that's the only thing about it that makes it like a Batman related thing. Like I much more think that this movie is inspired by the Joker more than it is about the Joker. Like, if you had made this and it had no connection to Warner Brothers or DC, I'd be like, oh yeah, I get that. It's like called Joker, and he kind of adopts that persona as like a tip of the hat. And you cut all the Thomas Wayne shit and all the Bruce Wayne shit too. It'd be a much more tolerable movie for that. Joker's probably my favorite fictional character. As at least as far as villains go, and you know, not sure what it says about me, but there's a pretty strong argument of just fictional character. So like when I'd heard they're making a Joker movie, I was like, oh, okay, that could be fun. And then I was like, oh, it's an origin pre-Batman thing. And I guess I'm glad that it's not that, because it's not even that. Like, it's just a fucking sad, pathetic man thing. And I'm not gonna like rag on it for being anything other than just it not being a Joker movie. That just bores me to tears and kind of like actively enrages me. I guess good on you for the hustle. But damn, this fucking sucked to watch. I if it weren't a Joker movie, if we weren't doing the review of it, I would have stopped it probably. Opening title, because I think that's about as much of this movie. Like, I think by the time the title drops on screen, you pretty much know what this movie's going to be. And it doesn't. And I guess I appreciate it for not trying to lead me down a different path. I was like, maybe I'll like it more once he actually like gets the makeup on and starts acting like the Joker. And you know, the fucking 10.5 seconds we get of that when he kills the talk show host and is like, you know, celebrating with the rioting crowd, like that's not half bad. I like his little, you know, come out on stage and dance and sit there and argue with the talk show host bit. That was pretty good. And I like the way he behaved after he shot the guy. That was pretty jokery. It was not worth sitting through a 2 fucking hour movie to get that scene though. I've seen better Joker fan films, if I'm being perfectly honest, as far as stuff that just captures the character. So it's a weird movie to talk about because like I feel. Have you seen that meme going around where it's like the fucking like clip from the porn parody and it's like, I think I downloaded the wrong Avatar The Last Airbender. Like I feel like that's what I watch. It's like oh man, I'm gonna download this Joker movie. It's like, I think I downloaded the wrong Joker movie. This isn't what I came for. So I don't know. I guess I've been really fucking negative on the show lately, and I'm sorry. And I know that Steve's probably heartbroken because he wanted to have a deep intellectual conversation about like what this movie's trying to say. And I just don't give a fuck about what the movie's trying to say because I wanted to watch a Joker movie, and I didn't get that. So here we are.
Dang.
I mean, Ian, sorry, Steve, I don't know why you're saying dang. For as long as we've known Ian, we both knew this was his reaction. Joker's his boy.
Okay, maybe he'll forgive the fact that this isn't really a Joker movie, just a movie with Joker's name on it, because it's such a well-made movie that he would be entertained by it, but he was not, and that's depressing.
I'm sorry, man. It's just like
Glad you had hope.
It's so like it robs you at the like get-go. I'm so glad I didn't like pay money for this at a theater. I'd be so mad. Like, I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry. Like, this is kind of the reason that I'd avoided the movie, is everything I heard about it, not even like the political controversies and the weird shit the director said and all that shit. Not even that stuff. Just, oh yeah, it's a Joker origin movie, but without Batman. I'm like, oh no. It's somehow even worse than that because it's not even a joke. Like you know, like Batman 89, where you get that weird Joker origin section that doesn't really need to be there for the film and stuff. Like, even that is more true to the Joker's character in the comics. This is just one of those things to me where it reeks of an absolute disinterest in the source material, a level of shame of it. Like, we were talking about this a week or two ago. It's like I hate it when movies make a joke out of the hero's like name, like the bit in Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton and stuff like that. You know, that's so annoying. It's so like, just embrace the thing you're from. And this, I think, is kind of like the worst offender level thing of running away, of embracing what it's from. Like, it's just, it seems like so ashamed. You know, like you guys were talking about with the Batman, how you're so happy to have, like, the most comically accurate, not comically, comic book accurate Batman on screen with Rob Pattinson. And by and large, I'd agree with that. And I'm just sitting here waiting for my comic book accurate Joker one day, because damn sure this isn't it.
Well, I agree with the overall point. I will push back a little bit because there are things about this Joker that really work for me. I've always been kind of picky when it comes to the Joker. Not to give, like, Alan Moore too much credit, but when he wrote Killing Joke, I'm just like, what else is there to say? That's it. That's
you
it.
didn't
You're
read
done.
Last Laugh. You didn't read Last Laugh. You don't know.
I'm just saying that, like, you've got that line at the end of Killing Joke where he's all like, why are you laughing? I've heard it before. It wasn't funny the first time. Okay, great. Batman and Joker are two people who see the pain and trauma of society. One views it as a comedy and one views it as a tragedy. Cool, great, that's it. There's nothing else to say about these two. They're like, that's it. What else is there to say about him? I hate a Joker that proselytizes about society and is always talking about society and blah, 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 blah. So when you get to the end of this movie and Murray talks to him and is just like, so you did this to start some sort of social revolution to prove a point, and he's like, no, I shot them because they were assholes and I wanted to kill them and they can't carry a tune to save their lives. And I'm just like, that feels like Joker to me. That gets it, because I went into this movie and I was just like, oh great, we're gonna have to hear Joker talk about, like, society and how he's proving that society is, you know, they're only as good as people allow them to be, blah blah blah. I don't give a fuck. And then it's not that. He's just like, things suck so bad that it's hilarious, and so I killed some people. I don't give a fuck about these politics. I don't give a fuck about what all these people are doing. I don't give a fuck about this movement. I just shot them because I wanted to. Even though that's not even actually what happened. But
yeah.
that nugget right there was enough for me to, like, kind of say, like, yeah, this feels like they did their homework a little bit to me. This feels, in at least what they're going for, a little bit more true to the Joker I love. Maybe even in some ways than Dark Knight's Joker does. I mean, that's my hot take.
I also really like his design. I think his costume is fantastic. Like,
it's running from the purple. Like, why isn't he wearing purple? Why is he wearing the fucking weird reddish maroon? Why isn't it purple?
Okay. But the Joker's had a weird history of costumes on screen, and we've done the purple straight up a couple of times, and then we tried to mobsterify the purple with Dark Knight. Giving him a costume that looks ridiculous and goofy and comic booky and is not purple and still is aesthetically cool looking, I think is kind of a win. I think it looks really
I feel
good.
like that's way too much rationalization. Like, it's just...
You've had 3 purple costumes that all slap. This is just a different look.
Nah. It's too iconic. Like, alright, let me make my Batman movie where he only wears
He's got the fucking white suit in Dark Knight Returns. We can give him a red one. Come on.
Let him have the white suit. That'd be good. Like, you don't need it to be all purple. Like, the white suit, he's got a purple undershirt.
I don't think it needs a justification. I think it's just a cool design for the Joker.
Nah, it's boring.
I think
again, it feels like it's running. It feels like it's trying so hard to run away.
It's running if it's going to create a costume that's equally goofy, just a different color.
No, I mean, I gotta agree with Ian on this one. I feel like even though I just sort of low-key defended this one as being a little bit more comic accurate than Ian's given it credit for, the design reeks of Joker at home, you know? Like, we got Joker at home.
Like, look at the way this movie is shot and all of the set designs and the lighting and coloring choices. This is not a movie that visually would benefit from a purple costume.
I don't give a fuck. Then restructure the movie so it benefits the character's design. I'm sorry, it's like
No. I mean,
Yes.
come on. I mean, no.
No,
They're
yes,
making
yes, I'm going to make that
cinematic
fucking
choices
argument.
and then crafting the characters around the cinematic choices they're making.
Then just
They
make a new
created
character.
very
Don't
specific
adapt a
color palette
character.
for the movie, and then gave us a Joker design that matches the color palette. I think that's
Make a
solid.
character. You're already going so far away from the character in the first place. If you're going so far as to like, we have to change the design to fit the visual cues of the movie, then just make a new fucking character. Like, that's just.
I mean, they did. They called him Arthur Fleck, and the movie's called Joker. Like, you don't have to make this a Joker movie. It's not about comic book Joker. It's just a Joker-inspired movie.
Yes, I agree. But the problem is, it's called Joker. It is marketed as a Joker movie. No one walked into this thinking, this isn't actually going to be about the Joker.
I mean, I did. I knew from minute one this was not going to be a comic book Joker movie. It was just going to be an art house movie about a crazy dude who rebels against society, and they slew the Joker's name on it. And on that standard, I think it's a good movie.
I mean, like, on the standard of what it is trying to do, on the standard of what it actually wants to do, I would agree with you. It is a well-made movie. I don't particularly care for it.
Hold something too.
No. What something is sold to you as matters too. What something is trying to present itself as matters too. And so what this is trying to do, what it is trying to be, is yes, like Taxi Driver 2, The Drive-In, the Joker-fied. But what it is sold as, what it is marketed as, what it is understood to be, is something very different. And I think it fails at that, whether that's intentional or not. I don't really give a fuck. I just don't like being lied to as an audience member.
You don't like it because it's not a Joker movie. Fair enough. I hear your complaint. You can sue them for false advertising. I got your back on that. Can we talk about the movie though?
I mean, sure.
I
didn't really like Taxi Driver that much.
Hold on. Before Ian and Steve continue their dysfunctional marriage, I just want to say one thing on the costume thing for Joker is I think Jared Leto just broke me, man. I'll take it. He doesn't have damage on his fucking forehead. You know what? Fine, good Joker design.
Fair enough. My answer is what Alfie said.
That's fair. That's fair.
Jared Leto, Ian, I'd be with you. I've seen how far they could go wrong. He's still got his fucking eyebrow. So you know what? I'll take Waikiki. I see you. I'll let you have your weird fucking red nose and you do you. You got no fucking weird tats. You've got all your teeth. I'll give you this.
Fair point. Conceded. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, for what this movie is, I don't really know why people like these types of movies. Like it's one of those things. On a technical level, this is, well done. The shots are good. The color grading's cool. There's some moments and some frames and some camera movements I quite like. But goddamn, this is just like 2 hours of fucking pitiful. And it wants to be 2 hours of pitiful, and it wants to show just how bad everything can be, and then make it worse and worse and worse. And I'm just like exhausted. Fucking like I had to pause the movie at one point during watching it to check how long it'd been, and I go, oh Jesus fucking Christ! And Haley looks at me and goes, what? And I'm like, we're only halfway in, and I am fucking exhausted with this movie already. I don't know, maybe I just don't have a film brain anymore. There was a time, early college, late high school, where I was really into like cinema films and stuff, and maybe I'm too fucking stupid or something, or maybe my soul's been like trodden upon by society. I just don't have the fucking patience for shit like this anymore.
What I'm realizing is that I just need an appetizer. So I watched Walk the Line, and I was just like, yeah, you know what? I like cinema. And then I watched this, and I'm like, oh man, the use of cinematic language is actually really interesting here, and the visual metaphor with the stairs is actually kind of cool. As a film, there's a lot here to like. There are tense moments that feel tense when he's on the train with those people, and the way that the visuals keep cutting in and out as the lights are blacking out, the way the din of the audio just crescendos, and they give him a gun so early in the movie, and that's such a great move, because then every scene feels tense. When he shows up in Zazie Bates's apartment, that is fucking unnerving as shit. Like, there is a lot here that, divorcing it from all the comic book stuff, just hits really, really well. And the thing that makes it feel Joker or Joker inspired to me is that they go out of their way to... It's like when you have a D&D group and everyone has to outdo each other's sad backstories. They make his story so pathetic and sad that it is farcical. You get to the point where you have to laugh at it. It's so fucking absurdly, like, tragic. And that right there is what actually kind of clicks for me, and it's just like, yes, this is working. This is kind of firing on the cylinders it's trying to fire on. As a movie, I think it is good. Like, as an art house drama that has things to say about, like, systemic issues in society, I think it's solid. But it's hard for me to divorce it from, this is just a Joker origin story that I just kind of don't care about. Like, like, there are two wolves inside me, guys. One wolf thinks the clown movie is pretty decent, and the other movie just wants Batman to punch him.
Which one will win?
Whichever one I feed, Ian. Whichever one I feed, which I guess is the Joker one, because I actually watched this movie and enjoyed it.
And I know a point there, Matt, about the things that just come together that really hit. I do agree that I think this movie's probably its strongest aspect for me is the score. I think the score in this movie actually is pretty underrated. I really, really like the music here. And specifically, I think how it's done in those scenes. Very kind of going off what Nolan figured out, that the best kind of music for the Joker is that just one note that just keeps going. That just no other things to it. And then you bring in more violins and stuff and you go. But I think whenever he has that moment after he shoots the free man and he goes into the bathroom and he just starts moving and dancing with himself, and the score kind of does a lot of the work there for you. When he's getting first told off for his boss for the sign, and the audio of his boss fades out, and we're just left with the music, and we pan into Joaquin's face as he's still trying to smile and stuff. I think these do really great moments of just building up that the kettle. Like, it feels like it's a boiling point, and we don't get that release until he's on top of the car and he does the bloody smile, and that's with, like, the death of the Waynes and stuff. I think that's really, really well done in terms of building up what pressure feels like. Like this guy's brain is in a vice and things are constantly just squeezing him until something's going to pop. And every time it has that pop, there is rarely any music. When he's just walking around or running from things, it's normally just the sound of him running, and we don't have it. It's that build up, that tension when he's in the apartment and stuff. I think is really, 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 really strong. The scene when he visits Bruce for the first time, I think actually. And again, I know Steve wanted to cut all the things in the movie. I actually really, really like... I don't like it as an idea, like, I wouldn't do this in a Batman comic. But I do really like how that scene is played. Like where he just puts his fingers in Bruce Wayne's mouth and just makes him smile, and the kid's clearly not smiling. That's a really good child actor in terms of, like... I like that. That's basically the Batman-Joker relationship in a nutshell. Like, that's really... I really like that as a piece of visual storytelling, like, just on its own. That, since every time I rewatch that, that's the scene where I'm like, all right, I want to watch this whole scene the whole way through, because I really like how Joaquin plays that. Like how the Bruce actor is just so still, he's so quiet. It's like I can see that kid being Batman kind of thing. But that's in the movie's credit outside of just being a DC film or.
Damn it, Alfie.
It brings you along with Arthur as a protagonist, but I don't think. Oh God. It never makes you think that he's a good person, which I think was a lot of people's fear about this. Is I think this is a movie that's very aware about how corrupted the POV character is and embraces it, and I think that's a strong element of filmmaking to be able to understand that as a writer, to be able to understand whose point of view are we experiencing and tailoring it around that, and just letting it play without trying to present him as like a hero or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of what got missed with this movie on release is that it's not particularly morally ambiguous in any sort of important way. The comparisons to Taxi Driver, I think, are apt because it is riffing a lot from Taxi Driver. But I do think they're ultimately two very different kind of movies. And when Taxi Driver came out in 1976, and it got premiered at the Cannes Film Festival that year, the president of the jury for that year was Tennessee Williams. And everyone loved the movie, and Tennessee Williams didn't. And he basically made a little speech after the movie got its award, basically saying that while it's a very well-made movie, there is something fundamentally dangerous about glorifying something this morally ambiguous and this much subject matter about abuse on film, and he wasn't comfortable with cinema going that way. And I think people in general have that reaction to Joker, and Joker's nowhere near as morally vague as Taxi Driver is. Joker's a very black and white story about systems of corruption abusing people and that ultimately breeding nothing but violence. Like, I don't think at any point is it glorifying the Joker as some sort of like counterculture thing to stand up against the resistance, and actually he was right the whole time. And people, importantly, across the world after the movie came out, did use the Joker imagery from this movie in things that were fighting for justice. It wasn't what people thought of, where it was going to be like Dark Knight Rises shooter in a clown costume, just going around thinking he can blow people's heads off. The Joker in this is definitely a lot more clearly a bad person than I think the discourse gave it credit for. The one thing I don't like about the way they convey that, though, is, and this is a $10 word, so forgive me, but I don't like the medicalization of Taxi Driver style characters, because the thing with Taxi Driver is Travis is probably unwell as a person, and a lot of people analyze that movie from the perspective of, well, what if Travis Binkle is just a mentally ill person and this is the repercussions of him being mentally ill? And I think that misses the point of the movie, because the point of the movie is that it's not that he's mentally ill. It's that he lives in a world that created a person like him, and so he is a natural consequence of the world he's in. And Joker being just straight up mentally ill, I think, gives too much credence to that idea that it's just the mentally ill people. I don't think this is a movie that's like stigmatizing mental illness the way some people say it is, because it's not his mental illness that drives him to kill people. It's that he can't get help for his mental illness that drives him to kill people. But I just don't think he needs the mental illness factor to it.
All right, so I'm gonna come in and be an asshole again. When there's that scene on the bus where he starts like laughing uncontrollably and he has to hand the card to the mother, and it's like got this like whole mental illness explanation for the Joker's laughing, I audibly sighed. I cannot tell you how much that like actively annoyed me. And again, like, I feel bad talking about this shit, but I was like, just that, it's like that, you know what it reminded me of? You remember the Mortal Kombat Reborn fan film / like attempted reboot where it's like Baraka, a plastic surgeon whose went crazy and started surgically implanting arms inside his body. And it's just like fucking reminded me of that shit where it's just so trying so hard to like rationalize and explain like everything about a character. So that was a thing. Do you mind if I transition and we talk about something else about the movie? Something that like I'm not going to say I liked it, but something I would have liked if they did more.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so my thing with the Joker, and this may floor some people, the Joker is supposed to be funny. And I know that like all the last like 10, 15 years of Batman writing probably would lead you to believe, no, the Joker is a very serious, scary character. No, the Joker is supposed to be fucking hilarious. So the thing that I would have liked for this movie to do is be funnier, or at least have funny scenes more often. But the few we do get, I did mostly enjoy. I don't like how many of the comedic bits are at the Joker, quote unquote, expense. I don't think that's the right note to hit with the Joker. The Joker as a character wants to make you laugh and then feel bad for laughing. And a lot of these jokes are more just at his expense, where you're laughing at him and he doesn't like that. And so I would have liked if a couple more of the comedic bits were not that, but for what we get, you know, like when he fucking walks into the door or he shoots the gun in the apartment, those are pretty good. I like the bit where he's telling his mom he's going to be a stand-up comic and she says, "Don't you have to be funny?" That was a pretty good line. But honestly, my favorite is when he's got the two guys in his apartment and he just locks the door and fucking murders the big fat guy, and then the little person is there and he's scared shitless and he's like, "No, it's fine, you can go." And he goes to the door and then he's too short to get to the lock and he's scared for his life, but he has to ask the guy that just killed someone in front of him to unlock the door for him. That was pretty fucking funny. I quite liked that. More scenes like that would have really done it for me.
That is definitely that, like, it's hilarious and you kind of feel bad for laughing about it. Like,
that's exactly the kind of note you need to hit with the Joker, and
sure.
it kills me how often people cannot hit that mark. Like comically so, they cannot hit that mark. So I that was easily my favorite scene in it, and I would have liked more scenes like that, but I guess it gets credit for not being entirely humorless. But man, they could have tried just a little bit harder.
I will say real quick before we continue on to that, I just want to say one very quick thing about the laughing thing. I legitimately hate any take on Joker that adds something to so this and fucking Matt Reeves's, oh, he was born with a birth defect so he's always smiling, like just anything that gives him some sort of innate thing that he's had since birth that explains why he's I just fucking cut that shit out. I hate it. It's stupid. But then I have to look at it from the perspective of the other wolf who's just like, well, let's just look at this as a movie. I don't know what the fuck that adds either, because you're already writing a character who is clearly coded as mentally ill. I don't know what having him legitimately laugh during nervous situations, because he has to, adds when you've already written a character who clearly is not great at being in like nervous situations. So I didn't understand that from a fan of the comic book character, or even what it added to this take of this character here. So
I don't like it from a comic book perspective, but I do actually think it works for the movie, because like you mentioned earlier, the more details you get about his backstory, the more it compounds tragedy over and over again to the point of it being just fucking insanely funny. And the way that card reads is that it's a disorder he developed because he was abused as a child. And then you get to that point towards the end where he realizes he was get abused as a child with her mom's boyfriend. And so this idea that throughout the whole movie he's always laughing in nervous situations because he is always just fundamentally confused by points of what is tragic and what is comedic, I think that actually works really, really well. Because by the end of the movie, he stops resisting the laugh in serious situations and just leans into it and escapes all of the serious situations by laughing. And that's when he really becomes the Joker. I think that actually all works really well. I think when you get to his speech at the end, he doesn't laugh off cue a single time when he's dressed up as the Joker and he's on stage. Because at that point, he's not nervous anymore. He's not laughing in inappropriate situations. He's just laughing at everything. And all of it is a joke. And then he has a really sincere moment where he looks at Robert De Niro and he's like, "You're awful. You made fun of me." And then he's not nervous at all. He just pulls the trigger and starts laughing.
I mean, I agree, but that kind of I feel like you're saying like, oh, because he's so because he went through that trauma and because he's not a normal, like, you know, quote, normal, well-adjusted, you know, fully functioning person or whatever, that he laughs in uncomfortable situations because he doesn't really know when he should and shouldn't be laughing. Like, it's not that, though. Like, he clearly knows he shouldn't be laughing right now. He just physically can't stop. So, like, I don't know.
But
I feel like
yeah. But I think that's the theme of the movie. I think the theme of the movie is he's making the conscious shift from viewing his life as a tragedy to viewing it as a comedy. So he sees situations where he knows he shouldn't be laughing, and he is laughing, and he wants to resist it. And then he, throughout the course of the movie, stops fighting that urge to laugh at inappropriate situations and just accept that the inappropriate situations are not tragic, they're just funny.
Mm. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think Steve is on top for that payroll because he's doing some very good arguments for decisions that I don't. Again, you have to just divorce it from Joker to the point where I don't feel like I want to talk about the character Joker anymore at this because it's not what they're trying to do, even in the slightest.
And that's the thing that I don't think I can ever forgive.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, but like we've made that point very good.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think you understand. It pisses me off like a lot.
Okay. All right. Well, we can get back to that. But for this, I think the idea of that being it's a realization of a character arc that you can only do in a medium that has audio, and the visual paired with it of how Joaquin plays that laugh, I think is really, really, really good. The sound he uses for the laugh, I think, is really, really strong. As a Joker laugh. It's just comfortable, which I think is good. The scene that really stands out to me in particular is where like he near the beginning of the movie where he walks out through the hallway and he's laughing and he just has a dead stop. I think that's great. I think that immediately tells you all you need to know about it, what it is, and then once we get to the end and he's dancing on stage and he's comfortable in his own skin and he's laughing along with the jokes and stuff like that, I think is really, really well done in terms of an arc. Like it lets you know the character's state and the character's progression without having someone go to the audience, wow, Arthur doesn't need to control it. He's not laughing uncontrollable anymore. Why is that? Like, they don't need to tell you that. We're all adults here. You can just figure that out on your own. And I appreciate that.
Mm.
I really like the dancing. I know that sort of became a meme and people were making fun of it, but I like just how much he's dancing in this movie to music that is either completely in his head or moments that don't have music in the scene and he's just like dancing in the bathroom, or at the very end when he's singing along to That's Life, even though no one else in the room could clearly hear it. The way this movie uses the dancing and the music and the choreography, I think, is all really, really smart. Matt pointed out the visual metaphor with the staircase that I really like too, where at the very beginning he's climbing up that sad little staircase, a pathetic little Arthur Fleck, and at the end he's dancing down it, descending into hell as the Joker. I think that's a solid way to open and close your movie. And the fact that he's always just kind of in rhythm with music that's not there adds to when the score is really unnerving you in moments of strict tension. And that scene when he is at the talk show at the end, I think that's legitimately a terrifying scene. I think it's a very, very well done scene because you see this character go through all of these weird moments of silliness that are still deeply uncomfortable. Him running down the street after killing the Wall Street guys, and you see his big shadow loom over him before he goes into the bathroom and just starts dancing to calm himself down. I think all of that tracks really, really well with the way the movie wants you to get to the end, because at the end he's doing the same thing where he's got a much larger image of himself and he's just dancing onto stage, embracing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the dancing thing is honestly one of the things that when I first watched this, which maybe into Ian's camp gave me a little bit of hope that was misplaced, because I think that's, if you are gonna do a Joker origin, one of the things I think is missed in like Killing Joke or anything, that really the only thing that's ever done this right for me is Zero Year, is I need to know where like the Joker's not just a guy. He's really fucking smart and like really fucking skilled. Like he's got. I want to know at least how the fuck is he? He's not just a crazy dude. Like that's just not what the Joker ever is. And if you're going to, the best way to handle that is just never explain anything. So we just never know. But if you are going to explain it, if you don't address that, I kind of go like, okay, well, there could have been something interesting there. The idea that he's got, like, from the very start of the movie, we're introduced to him after he does, like, the smiley thing. He's got some fucking moves with that billboard. He's moving around. He's dancing. He's having a good time. He's not klutzy with his feet when he's in his element, when he's happy. And I think that's something that's a good way of kind of foreshadowing. That's how the Joker is always on top of his game when he becomes the Joker. Like, that's how he gets that kind of erratic movement that even the highly trained Batman can't predict sometimes, because it's just that crazy man energy. And then there's a lot of physicality to the Joker as a character. Like Mark Hamill famously, when he records the voice for the Joker, he has to stand up, he has to act and do the moves. A lot of Heath Ledger's performances in his performance of how he moves and how he gets up after a fall and stuff. So I think the idea of having this Joker be someone who's a very, very physical in terms of that expression of enjoyment, even beyond his laughter, into how he moves, I think is very good. I think that's a strong take that I wouldn't mind if anything from this movie was to be adapted into other things. I like the idea of a kind of a Charlie Chaplin-esque Joker who's a little bit more bouncy and moving. I think that's a neat visual.
I also really like early on when he's watching the talk show with his mom and you just instantly get to see the most cringe fantasy he's had that kind of perfectly sets up the whole rest of the movie, because he has this idea in his head of what he thinks he deserves that gets so twisted up by the end when he kills the host in cold blood. I think all that's really good. I heard someone complain once that there were parts of the movie where when you're inside of his head, it's shot in a very specific way, and when you're not inside of his head, it's shot in a specific way, and that those two things don't line up, and therefore that's a problem. Like, they're inconsistent about when you're in his head and when you're not.
Fine.
But I think that misses the point. I think the point is, yeah, you're not supposed to be sure of when you're in his head and when you're not. You've got very clear tells in certain scenes. You have less clear tells in other scenes. But I think there is a sort of narrative connectivity between those moments where, regardless of whether or not you see what's happening as real or not, you're still experiencing the emotional reality of it like he is. And that's ultimately what should matter.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind that stuff, playing fast and loose with it, and you know, letting it be kind of confusing. I think that's relatively fine. I did like the physical performance is really good when he's fucking moving and grooving. I like that. Again, just for some of the comedy in this did hit for me, like when he's in the hospital and he fucking drops the gun on the floor and the whole room goes quiet and he picks it up and then it was like, shh, like no one else noticed. That was pretty good.
That's another example of a scene that, like, at least on first viewing, which it might change if I ever watch the movie again, but that is another great example of a scene that was just very uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I said earlier, giving him that gun so early in the movie and never really being sure when it's going to be used is
a Joker's gun, if you will. It's a term for storytelling I just invented. It states that if you give the Joker a gun early on in the movie,
in the first act.
eventually he will use it. Since I'm such a writing genius.
Exactly. I just feel like it just dangles there, and it makes every scene feel a lot more tense. I thought that was a really, really smart move. Because you're right that this movie is not ambiguous at all. The film is sympathetic to the struggles that he's had just existing as a person. You have this, like, movie where it constructs systemic problems. You know, he's off his medication and he can't talk to his, like, therapist or whatever because the city is no longer funding it. And his therapist was herself not really helping. She was kind of, like, overworked and stuff like that.
And
so,
wasn't listening to him. And
wasn't listening to him. So, like, there are systemic issues that are causing his life to have these problems, and he addresses them not via means to confront the systemic problems. In his mind, he views them all as the machinations of people who are being bad. He has that whole thing at the end where he's like, the problem is that people aren't decent to each other, and if you saw me dying on the street, you wouldn't even care, which is a very, like, fucking boomer ass. People just need to be nice to each other these days. That's the real problem. So it's interesting that he is plagued by what are systemic societal problems, but the way he turns out ends up being completely unsympathetic because he conceptualizes them as people who are hurting him, and so his response is to just go kill those people. So I don't think it's morally ambiguous at all. And I would question anyone reading it that way because I don't think that's the intent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's advocating for violence of any kind. I think it's a movie that's just saying if you beat people down enough, they are going to become violent. That's just the nature of people. And Arthur Fleck in particular has already been beaten down so much, so consistently, and he gets to a point where he has means to commit violence, so he does it. And there's no reason or way to realistically stop him, because that's just the way all of this turns. The most on-the-nose scene in the whole movie, I think, is when a bunch of rich people are in a giant Chinese theater watching and laughing at Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times, the movie about how capitalism is bad. And they're just laughing along, missing the joke that they're the ones Chaplin was criticizing, while Arthur Fleck's in the bathroom getting punched out by Thomas Wayne. And I think everything this movie is saying about capitalism, about corruption, about bleeding out public services, and all of this leading to the need for martyr figures and for the kind of violence that gets bred when someone is pushed to their realistic limit and has no ideological groundwork to anchor themselves back into. I think all of that's really, really on point, and I don't think it's particularly nuanced or ambiguous or even necessarily problematic. I think it's a very obvious observation that's done really well.
Yeah, apropos of nothing, again, just a general comic book thing. You mentioned the Thomas Wayne punching him out thing. There's been a trope, and it's like it was a longer time apart than it used to be, but now we've been getting a lot of it lately, and I'm kind of here for it. I really like when we make Thomas Wayne a fucking bastard. You know, like there's the fucking like Batman Begins version of Thomas Wayne where he's like, you know, such a nice guy, and you really get like the idea of this inspiring father figure. But man, I think Morrison was the first to do it with like Thomas Wayne yelling at Bruce, like if he didn't stop crying, he was gonna leave him right there outside the theater, and then he did. And it happened again in Batman Damned where he's like cheating on Martha and stuff, and I quite like that. And then this, he's got like a mistress and he's punching his it's very vague and confusing. I don't know if the movie even knows by the end of it, but let's just go with it for the sake of making the origin more tragic. Punching his bastard child in a movie theater bathroom and walking away. Just all that shit, like, collectively is... I'm kind of here for. I do like that. I want to say positive things about the movie, so I'm going to say positive things, but probably not the kind of stuff Steve wants me to say positive things about.
Like, I don't know. I feel like the Batman is about as bastardy as I would want Thomas Wayne to get.
Nah, see, like, that's an accidental bastard. Like, he fucked
just
up.
Like, yeah, he's just like human, and he made mistakes.
No, I'm just like an absolute fucking asshole, and like, because the reason I like it is I want Thomas Wayne legit to be just like a worse person the more you find out about him, but like Bruce still sees him the way a child does, so Bruce is like, ah, my father, a great man, kind of thing. I fucking love shit like that. It's just like the more toxic Thomas Wayne becomes, the more Bruce like worships the ground he walked on, just ignorantly. I love shit like that. It's so perfect. Okay, cool. And no other thoughts about Thomas Wayne the bastard? No thoughts.
Bastard.
I mean, yeah. I talking about like that aspect of stuff is always going to kind of be, well, like, yeah, I like the idea of Thomas Wayne just being more of a character than just someone who dies in the alleyway, and by doing that, I think making him a little bit more corrupt is it. I think you maybe get a little bit too close to Huntress if you make him like actively bad, like a criminal and stuff.
I'm not saying criminal. I'm saying just a fucking asshole.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like there's versions which have like the Telltale version and stuff makes him like actually like a mob boss and stuff.
Okay, no thanks.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think there's definitely a line there where you make him kind of a dick. Is a good enough move. Outside of that, though, I think the actor who plays Thomas Wayne, they have to get him to be that old to make the Arthur mystery work a little bit. But it's weird seeing like clearly like in their 50s Thomas and Martha with 8-year-old Bruce Wayne. Like, that's a choice.
I like the guy they got to play him, but I was kind of here for Alec Baldwin as Thomas Wayne when they originally cast him.
That would have been cool.
Hype.
That would have been pretty cool, I feel like. Alec Baldwin would have been a good Batman back in the day, too.
Yeah, that's kind of what you want, right? Is you want someone who, if we'd made this movie like 20 years earlier, they could be playing Bruce. Is kind of the vibe you want to hit. So that's good.
He dropped out because of scheduling conflicts, I think. But Alec Baldwin would have been interesting. I feel like ultimately the movie dodged a bullet because Alec Baldwin...
Oh, Jesus.
Steve.
Damn.
No.
Yeah, he isn't his joke.
That humor got about as dark as this fucking movie.
Now, Steve, we don't do that kind of humor on this show.
Alec Baldwin actually would have been really cool because I mean you already got Robert De Niro in this movie, like fucking yeah, that would have been hype.
The casting of Robert De Niro in The Taxi Driver 2 is like exactly the same level as the bring back all 3 Spider-Men thing that I know Steve hates, but it's like legitimately on the same exact level to me, and you cannot convince me it was not 100% on purpose.
Well, no, it is 100% on purpose to bring him in there because of Taxi Driver, but also because of King of Comedy, where De Niro plays effectively Arthur Fleck in that movie and goes on a talk show to talk to a guy like this.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting him to play the talk show host instead of being in the audience this time is cool. And the actual set design for his talk show is fantastic. Like, the movie looks so good, and they shoot that scene like an old school talk show really well.
Sure.
They do, yeah.
Like, okay. I haven't watched a lot of old school talk shows, so I have no input on this.
I will say, completely, slightly unrelated to that point, I love Frances Conroy in this. She's fucking great as Penny Fleck. She's an actress that I just really, really like because she's amazing in American Horror Story. And she's great in this. Like, the reveal that, the fake out reveal that he's Thomas Wayne's bastard, but then he's actually not.
But then maybe he still is. Do-do-do.
Maybe I just missed a line or something. I didn't really get any ambiguity.
When he's like putting the makeup on and stuff in his apartment before the two guys come over, he looks at a picture and it's got like a note scribbled on the back. I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's got like signed TW, Thomas Wayne. So it's like, it's really like mind fucky of like, is he or isn't he? Is he or isn't he his son?
You know what? I was eating leftover sweet and sour pork. I might have been taking a bite at the time. I didn't.
You mean you didn't like fully embrace yourself in this movie's cinematic glory by like sitting in a dark room and turning on surround sound and blocking out all other like sensory input?
I mean, it was like 11 in the morning when I watched it, and I don't have like fucking super blackout curtains in my living room. No, but
Wait, Matt, hold on.
Yeah.
Are you telling me you had that Matt munch?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
And I was watching this. I was eating my leftover Chinese food, and I missed the fucking 2-second Easter egg that hints that he might actually be his kid. But regardless, again, it just goes to that compounding of like, oh man, he's Thomas Wayne's son, and Thomas Wayne doesn't give a fuck about him. That's so sad. Oh shit, that's not. Oh god, it gets way worse. That's fucking hilarious. That's like when he's at Arkham and he gets the file and he like starts reading it, and he's in the hallway or he's in the like stairwell and he starts reading it and laughing. I think that's where it clicks for me, and that's where I'm kind of laughing right there along with him, because I'm just like, oh my god, how much worse can his life get? And so yeah, I did like that, because I hated that reveal at first, because I thought they were playing it straight, and I was just like, well, that's fucking stupid, and then it got actually cool and interesting, so yeah. But I missed that. I don't like that.
You don't like the extra detail?
I don't like the extra. I mean,
like, it's vague. It's just something in her room, so it's like, it could just be something that she made. It's meant to be like, to make you like leaving with questions, I guess. But I did notice that and thought it was an interesting detail to say that maybe because it's kind of I think the thing is, the reason it's there is to show that he's beyond caring about that side of his past anymore. Like, as depressed as he is, as sad as everything is, like, the fact that he's got a direction, that he is like this trash, that he's not really he was given up, and then he was given to an abusive home, and things got even worse. Like, that he's accepted that, and that's kind of like giving him the strength to go do this thing on the Murray Show. And so, like, I think the purpose of that is to show that he doesn't care that he might actually be anymore. Because he, like, kind of just throws it to the side, if I remember correctly. So he doesn't care about the truth anymore. He's got, like, a direction to go in now, is, I guess, the story argument for it.
Okay, well, cool. I do like that. Fair enough. If I enjoy that detail given that interpretation of that detail. I think that's pretty cool. I just wish I had seen it, but I was too busy eating leftovers.
It's okay.
I think the talk show scene is cool too, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, he goes there with the plan to simply shoot himself on camera, and the situation gets away from him to the point where he has that great exchange with him where he shoots the guy, and I think that all does play out really really well.
I love the scene where he's practicing to go on the talk show to kill himself. I think all of that's fantastic, where he's got the show on in the background and he's responding to it like a real conversation, and how that parallels with him hearing music that isn't in the scene and responding to it in the same way. Like, it clearly becomes a dude that is not seeing reality for what it is, because reality is so twisted anyway.
Yeah, I quite like that. Joker to me is always like a very performative character, so I'm always excited, or I guess whatever, a different word might be more apt, but whatever. I'm always happy to see some of that like rehearsal and performativeness put on. So like the fact that he's set up his shower curtain so he can learn how to like perfectly part the curtain and walk out on stage and stuff like that. I appreciate moments like that quite a bit. That was, again, like, I'm sorry, I'm only gonna be able to talk about this movie as what I wanted it to be as opposed to what it is, and that's so little nuggets like that were some of the only things that really hit for me. I'm sorry, Steve, I let you down.
Oh, it's okay. I'll just disown you.
Okay. Damn it. Now we'll never be together.
Gonna sell you off to Alfie.
Oh no, not him. He's the worst. He smells bad.
Also,
Anyway.
can I just... I'll have my one shallow point for the night, which is Joker smoking is so fucking cool.
Yeah, I miss people smoking in movies.
This is like the first time I've seen a comic book movie with smoking since like fucking Hellboy.
Uh-huh. Like, just characters smoking in movies is always so fucking cool.
When was the last time Joker smoked?
It might be Dark Knight Returns. It legitimately may be.
I'm pretty sure he smokes in Dark Knight Return, or not, or in Batcat. I'm almost positive he does.
Does he?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, he smokes in Phantasm, because everyone smokes in Phantasm.
Yes, that is pretty dope.
But they were just like, hey, we're allowed to have people smoke. Let's have everyone smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the funniest thing about that movie. Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah, no, I like Joker smoking and then like doing so in like that more effeminate way is just it's one of those perfect little details, you know.
It is funny though, because he smokes in the movie, but there's a shot of him smoking in the trailer that they cut from the movie, which is weird to me because it doesn't change the scene at all. They just like CGI'd out the cigarette.
Maybe they only get so many cigarettes, you know.
There's a smoking quota once you hit a number.
Because it's weird, because it was one of my favorite shots in the trailer where he's got like his feet up on the desk and his head tilted to the back and the cigarette's pointing straight up, and that scene's in the movie, but the cigarette's not.
What if they photoshopped in the cigarette in this trailer, Steve?
Get people hyped.
Like, yeah, he's not smoking in the movie, but in the trailer, we want to show that the Joker smokes. But we can't put any of the shots of him smoking in the trailer. All right, that's fine, it's fine. Just CG it in here. Headcanon.
I mean, I like this movie. I think this is a very good movie.
I gotta say, I feel like I'm coming around on the costume because, like, I like a Joker who does kind of look like $1 million despite looking like a clown, and that suit is pretty fucking like 70s chic. So
right, and like
I don't know, I'm kind of feeling it.
It's 70s chic. It looks like a Joker outfit, and it matches the actual cinematography of the movie. Like, I think it's a good look.
But yeah, I could just be going easier on it because I've seen the Snyder Cut.
Exactly. That's again. That would be my position. And
I've seen the Snyder Cut. I've seen the Matt Reeves deleted scene. This feels like a breath of fucking fresh air. So fair enough.
Okay. Not as bad as the things that are bad. Got it. That's our level.
Not as bad as it could have been award.
That's the level we're at. Got it. Okay.
Again, I'm sympathetic. I'm trying to disconnect it because, like, again, I have no interest in Joker before or without Batman, but I'm doing my best to get at Steve's level and enjoy this as something wholly
I accepted many years ago I could never be at Steve's level. So I decided to be everything that he stands for. I am the opposite. I am the anti-Steve.
I'll take it.
You know that phrase, if you can't beat him, join him? I decided instead of joining him, I would just double down on finding a way to beat him. Yeah, and my way of beating him is just guilt-tripping him on Geeky Gentleman all the time and then shitting on the things he likes for fucking an hour and a half.
Do we want to move on to ratings?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty... I feel like I'm stuck in a fucking loop with this movie where I try to, like, engage with it on what it's trying to be, and then I'm just like, but what about this thing that's not like the comics, guys? And I just know I'm being that guy the whole fucking episode, and I'm not even sorry anymore. I'm just accepting it. I have become the thing I hate, wherein I cannot accept something that is not comic book accurate. I've become that fan, and it is good. Yeah, let's kind of go
nice
on the
to
ratings.
just be able to write things off and
Yeah.
not even bother.
Yeah, no, fuck it, I'm done with it. Like, you're the cowards for not accepting it. This is the only true way. Eventually, we all become this.
So
One day.
we should send you some Spider-Man comics so you can see why No Way Home sucks. That's the plan.
Yeah,
That's the
no,
4D
sounds
chest.
good. Sounds good. I hear Uncle Ben's not in those movies. It's a real problem.
I swear to God, every time Steve and Ian go back and forth, it's like that scene in Mean Girls where they're like, "So you agree?" and then say something passive aggressive. Every fucking time. So good.
I told you a long time ago, I am a high school mean girl. That is just the entirety of my personality. Like, I just was born to be a high school mean girl.
How it has to be.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and go on to ratings. I'll go first just to get out of the way. As a art house movie that I don't enjoy watching, I'll give this movie probably like a 3.5 or a 4 out of 5. Awards that I can't properly pronounce the name of. And then as a Joker movie, I will give this like a negative 12 laughs. So there's kind of where I'm at with it.
For me, like we've said pretty exhaustively, I think this is again my kind of with the performance of this film, and those are what its goals are. So again, it achieves its goals quite well, and the first time watch I think is still worthwhile. Just as a film, I think that's where it really shines for me, at least. Past that point, though, this isn't a movie that after this I really ever want to go back to. This isn't something that I find very enjoyable or engaging outside of an appreciation for the craft, and even then, if I wanted to do that, I'd rather just talk to Steve about the Batman than this. So, like, it doesn't really do anything for me on those levels either, and the premise is just something I inherently dislike. So, those factors combined take what would pretty much be like a 4 out of 5 movie down to a 3 out of 5 movie for me, and I'll give it 3 out of 5. Fred's saying, "It's not funny, is it?" In a very
Oh God, where's that guy in our list of like best Alfred performances?
It's not very funny, is it?
It's not funny.
Not very funny, is it, Arthur? Not very funny, is it? A bit of banter, Arthur. A bit of bants.
They should have fucking gotten Ricky Gervais
That's what I
for that
want.
scene. Because he's got like that perfect British like accent and everything for exactly that line.
Funny, is it, Arthur?
There we go. That's the fucking movie I want. Next Batman reboot. Let's get Ricky Gervais to play Alfred.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
No.
Yes, come on, the fucking like salty, witty retorts and shit. That'd be pretty good.
I hate that dude. He's so unfunny.
Oh
I actually do gotta agree with Alfie on that one.
Oh no.
Dude, British
Well,
Office
he's also
sucks.
one of those fucking. Oh, you can't say anything about people anymore. It's
Oh yeah,
cancel
no,
culture.
sure. Like but like fucking every comedian's like that.
Yeah, but I don't want it, Ian.
Yeah, but every comedian acts like that though. You can't like. I don't
why
think
I
there's a
don't
single
hire
comedian.
This is why they should be all out of a job. As Joker has proven, comedy is an art form which only leads to pain and misery. In this essay, I shall.
This movie is I'm kind of right there with Alfie on this one. Like, I think that there is certainly an appreciation to have with this movie when it just comes to the craft of the way it's put together. I think there are genuinely tense and effective scenes throughout. But, you know, ultimately the subject matter and the fact that it is kind of hard to divorce it from the property that it's sort of looming under the shadow of it. There's a lot of factors that make me not enjoy this as much as I would maybe a similar but completely disconnected movie. So it is an interesting thing to talk about, but I'm probably going to go with 3.5 out of 5 Zorro the Gay Blades, because that was the movie that was fucking playing on the marquee. And I think that's hilarious. That's what they were walking out of. They're fucking walking out of some kind of Zorro porn theater.
No. Zorro the Gay Blade is an actual Zorro film.
What the fuck? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Holy shit.
It's like a 70s one. It's like it is, I guess, the Adam West Batman of Zorro things, where it's like intentionally really campy and goofy and silly. Like he starts the movie in like your regular like Zorro garb, and then he gets like the most outlandish Zorro costume ever, where there's not a spot of black on the entire thing. He gets a costume change in it. It's like a whole fucking thing.
Oh shit! I legitimately thought that like one of the masked Joker guys had like put that up. Okay, wow. All right. Well, I still stand 3.5 out of 5 Zorro the Gay Blades, which is I need to go consume that. That sounds interesting. Need to go consume Zorro's Gay Blade.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll give it. Legitimately, I do really like this movie. I'll give it a 4 out of 5 smoking jokers.
Nice. That's amazing.
It's like Smokey the Bear, but murder.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna make Steve a Daredevil movie. And it's gonna be about a guy who does stunts and tricks in sunny California. But it's gonna be called Daredevil, so it's okay.
So
And
70s Ghost
Oh
Rider.
my god, Steve, he's going to adapt the Mark Waid run. Let's go!
What else am I gonna make? I'm gonna make
You
Alfie.
knew about obscure Marvel character, the original Daredevil.
Yeah, there we go. What else can I make? What's a good Alfie? I'm gonna make what's the name of your boxing manga?
Hajime no Ippo.
Yeah, that. I'm gonna make that. And it's gonna be about two guys who work in a warehouse and do boxing. And
The majority of this fucking manga, yeah, we're currently on 300 chapters where the main character is. There's been no boxing.
yeah,
So
but this
again,
is gonna be
your argument fails.
no, it's gonna be just There's not going to be a single boxing match. It's just all going to be boxing in a warehouse. But it's going to be called the same thing. Matt, I want to make a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
That's about 2 stars having a war of hearts. It's gonna be like a big dramatic movie.
See, joke's on you. That sounds great.
I only have good ideas. God, this curse. All right, that's all I got. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. We need a fucking discussion topic for next time, and I can't be fucking bothered to keep track of whose turn it is.
I kind of have one that's been on my head lately, but
fuck it. You take over. No, just do it. You got one on your head. You fucking go. You swing that big dick around, Matt, and you just take over.
Okay. I kind of want to talk about like world building because I've been planning a D&D camp, and Alfie left. And now he's back. I thought Alfie just like power moved out of here, but just like, oh fuck this. I've been like planning a D&D campaign in my off time, so I kind of want to talk about like world building, or we could do like we could each bring our like top 3 fictional universes and like talk about what we like about them and maybe find kind of what we as individuals enjoy in a fictional world and stuff like that. I think that could be fun.
Oh man, I get to talk about Harry Potter. This is gonna be fucking dope. All right, let's go.
Are we doing the general world building or just like a top worlds, fictional universes?
I feel like we've done a video talking about world building already, so probably doing because I feel like doing the top one, you'll get to explain kind of the gists of what you like about world building kind of thing. I think the top list. What are you doing? We'll have 4 of us there for it, so everyone gets 2 plus an honorable mention, and that's how we do a Geeky Gentleman top 10 list.
Nice.
Yeah. So I guess technically what you should do is everyone should have 4, just in case someone drops out, and then your 4th one is the one you don't talk about at all. Well, if there's all 4 of us here, and then it's 3 in an honorable mention, or 2 in an honorable mention if it is all 4 of us. So there you go. Your honorable mention changes depending on if everybody makes it. So, alrighty.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Until next time, everyone. I'm the philosopher.
I'm the clown erotica lover.
Ew.
Ugh. Yeah.
Matt, you want to watch some clown porn?
Man, you know what they say about fucking big shoes? Big. Okay, this time I think Alfie did just fucking leave.
That was definitely a power move, leave.
Oh, God.
Alrighty, fuck it. And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.
Da, 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 da.